Hello, and welcome to A Journey to a Cat Care Business podcast. I am your host, Tanya Fleming from Purview, and I want to invite you to this first episode, which is Careers for Cat Lovers. I've developed a method for providing comfort and care to cats and peace of mind to cat parents, and now I want to launch helping people to start and grow a cat care business of their very own. In this podcast, I want to explore all these different topics of starting a cat care focused business, the opportunities, on the different ways that you could go, and just some really interesting observances that I have in the cat care industry. I am someone who's been in the cat care business since 1997. That's going on 27 years or more. And I have done it all. I have been a cat sitter, a cat groomer, and I had a cat boarding business for a really long time as well. So I know lots about the different types of care businesses that are available. And I don't know if some of you know that, like, during the past couple of years, probably like 4 years, the whole thing with the pandemic and everything, it took a toll on pet businesses in the area, specifically veterinary businesses. That was, I think, where it was the most noticeable, at least for me in our area. I live in Kingston, Massachusetts, and there's been definitely people have basically been leaving the industry, okay, because of the stress that was put on them during the past couple of years. So we're talking veterinarians, certified veterinary technicians, and veterinary receptionists. That's where it was the most noticeable. And I think it also hit pet sitters, although I was still able to be very busy, because I did a little bit of dog care at the time. But I also still did cat sitting too. And there were a lot of people in my area that were leaving as often as they could to go to other states around where we lived to get out of the restrictions. We had a lot of restrictions, and in other states that were near our state, there were people that were leaving, let's say for a week or so, and then I was able to do cat sitting for them while they were gone. So the point I'm trying to make is there's been a shift in the animal care industry, and yet there is a projected growth that is higher than average in the industry. So how do you wrap your head around that? And the other thing is that from someone who's worked specializing in cats for so long, I know there are a few other people in the area that do take care of cats, but there just aren't that many. And I get calls every week from not just my area. Like, you would think I would get more calls from just right around where I live. But because of the marketing I have on my website and the knowledge and experience that I have and the service types that I offer, I actually get calls from people down Cape Cod and South Plymouth. I get calls for specialty services all the way up to Waltham, Framingham, and at very far places, people begging me to go to care for their cats. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you that there is a need for these services in the cat industry. I know that it's not just in my own state, because I do a lot of research and I can see that there's more and more places and more businesses that are tailoring to cats. You have a ton of cat-only veterinary hospitals that are popping up all over the country. And there's just a need. There's a need. So what is there a need for? Why is there such a need? Well, there are tons of people who take care of dogs. And there are tons of people who do pet sitting in general, where they cover lots of services for all different types of animals. but they don't necessarily specialize. And if you talk to most pet sitters that are generalists, they will tell you that the number one business client that they have is usually dogs, dog walking and dog care. However, there is a subset of the pet industry, and it includes true cat parents. And true cat parents do not want gig workers, people who just kind of do it on the side because they want extra money. They're trying to find people who have a real passion for cats and will really consider doing a higher quality of service for them. I've created a program, a method called Purview, and it's a perspective that I have on providing this comfort and care for cats while also providing peace of mind for cat parents. I've had clients that I've had for maybe 20 years and been able to develop long-term relationships with people, even though their cats maybe had passed away, and then now we're on like maybe the second set of cats or whatever. And they are willing to pay a higher price for almost the concierge type service. So my podcast is really to reach new people who are looking for a career change, maybe people who are cat, really love cats. And when I talk to people, I'll go and get a coffee and talk to different people, like when I'm out shopping, and they'll say, "You're a cat sitter?" And wow, that would be amazing. Well, let me walk you through 3 types of businesses, excuse me, that I think are amazing, that you could potentially see yourself in. And I'm going to tell you what I think is great about them. So they're not going to go into super deep detail. That is what I have in my classes. But I am going to give you an overview of what they are. So you can start kind of envisioning in your mind if this is something that you think you might be interested in, or something that you could do as a career. And the first one is cat sitting. I have been doing cat sitting for a really long time. And what on earth is that? It doesn't mean that you take them back to your house. It means that you go to a client's home and the cats get to stay in the comfort of their own home. Really, what you are is a distraction, keeping them on their eating schedule and keeping them at peace and comfortable at home while the owners are away, so the cats don't really pick up on it and have that separation anxiety right away. You're sort of pushing it off for a couple of days, maybe to a week if possible. And you go into the house and you check on all the cats. You do all the feeding and cleaning up of all the bowls and plates and give fresh food and water. Then you scoop all the litter boxes and you sweep up. You make a note of any kind of changes that could be happening in the litter box. You look around the house and make sure there's no accidents or hairballs or anything like that. And then you get to spend some quality time with the cats. That will look different for different types of cats and different ages of cats, because some cats that are older, they don't want to necessarily play the same way younger kittens or younger cats do. But you can still provide that bonding and that quality time with cats. All the while you're texting your clients, you're letting them know what's going on at home. And I go through all of those kinds of things also in my class on how to provide the best service for different types of client needs. And then you close and you let them know you're heading out and you lock up the house. And although there are other additional add-on services that I could share, the basic cat sitting visit is you go to the client's house, and usually it's twice a day. So it could be once a day, but most true cat parents want either a longer VIP service with higher add-on services, or they want 2 visits a day. So this will really depend on their needs, and I go into much more detail on that in my class, Starting a Cat Sitting Business. But could you picture yourself doing that? Now, what is so great about that? Well, if you're someone who is very independent and doesn't mind being alone, and you kind of like the peace and quiet of maybe being in someone's house where there's nobody there, you're able to go through a task list, you're able to be detailed about the things that you're doing and not be sort of forgetful, and you can kind of be structured a little bit. you can sort of flow at your own pace. And that's something that a lot of jobs don't let you do. And I like doing cat sitting because I like the peace of that. And I like, structuring my schedule so that I know I have, let's say, all these morning visits, but I can kind of put them in the order of the need that I know that the cats have, and I can just flow from one to the other. And so I like doing that. I also like being in different places, and I don't like being in one place for like 8 hours. So if you're someone where you're just, you think that you have that more of independence, maybe you're a little more introverted, but you're not totally, like where you couldn't talk to a cat parent if needed, or you can't communicate, through an app if you can, and you can share, the communication of what's going on with the cats. This would be a great business for you. And I can tell you that there is a real demand. There's a demand in our area, in particular where I am, and I know there's a need in many, many towns in our area. So, but I can help you figure out in your area what the need is, and I can do that with coaching or through one of my classes. The next one is a service that I offer in my cat sitting business, but our industry is in need of cat groomers. My goodness, cat groomers so many people need cat groomers. Now, what on earth is a cat groomer? Well, it is someone who provides a grooming service, just like a dog grooming. In some cases, a breed kind of, you have to think of the breed. It's not as breed, clipped as the dog breeds, but there are different coat types. You would provide a nail trimming, an ear cleaning, a brush out to make sure the cats don't get matted, and a shampoo and a conditioner. In some cases, cats need to be trimmed under the tail. They might need mats to be removed. A lot of times the older kitties, they get them on the left and right side of their hips, and sometimes inside the inner thigh, and sometimes like right around the tail. And when they get older, sometimes they get arthritis and they can't turn and twist as easy because it's more painful. And they just need that extra help and the extra brushing and cleaning. And one of the things that is really awesome about this is seeing a cat go from just matted or a lot of floaters, a lot of thick undercoat. Maybe they come in, they've got sort of like crusty busties around their eyes, and sometimes their ears are dirty or just like waxy. And you can go in and do this grooming where you clean their ears and, dry out their ears for them. And then you can kind of clean and wipe their eyes. So you get staining off, you get the crusties off out of their nose, and you do a good thorough brush out. And then there's nothing like a shampoo and conditioner on a cat. Once they're done and they look beautiful, they'll never say thank you, but they will show you that they're so grateful because they feel a lot better. They know it, and there's just something about it. That's one of my favorite things about grooming cats. Now, right now, I don't have a location to groom cats. I used to have a dedicated cat boarding and grooming business with a retail store, but I don't have that now. And I only do basic grooming. So if you're someone who does cat sitting and these are one of the add-on services: nail trims, ear cleaning, and brush outs. So, but there is a need. For example, one of my clients who has a ragdoll, she's a really tough cat. She's got a real difficult attitude and she's tough to brush. She just won't let you brush her. And she gets a very thick coat. So she's at the point where she's almost going to be matted and her hair's just everywhere. You don't generally trim a ragdoll because of the type of coat they have. But they need regular professional grooming. But this cat, there's been a lot going on. And so they called to ask for a lion cut. I don't do them anymore because I need a location where I can give them breaks, and doing that inside of someone's home is just not ideal. The people will not stop talking to you. They usually don't have air conditioning. You're in there sweating your butt off. There's never enough lighting. It could be dangerous to do that. And it's just, you can't control the environment where you can keep it at total peace when you're at someone's house. You really can do that much better when you're at your own location. But if you're someone who who thinks that you might like to do cat grooming or learn cat grooming, what I want to say is there's ways to do it where you could potentially rent different locations for the day that aren't being used by some different places, that could lend themselves to do that, to do full grooms. You can make really good money doing groomings. Right now in the area, they're getting like $200 for a lion cut. And some cats maybe more because of their attitude, and you have to be very, very careful and very calm and take it slow, which means that, it takes longer, and you can't if you're doing a couple of cats and this one cat needs more time, you have to charge more because they're taking up more of your time. But anyway, that is something that I can share a little bit more either through coaching or in a class. But if you think you might be interested in exploring cat grooming, one of the cool things about cat grooming, if you were able to have a location or rent a location or different locations, you'd be able to work just maybe a couple of days a week. I mean, you could potentially work just a couple days a week and have your weekends off. So one of the places that I was a member for a really long time that I loved was the National Cat Groomers Institute. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. And they have a program or like an ebook or something called the 6 Steps to a Cat-Friendly Grooming Business. They are amazing. They have a program that you can go through to become a certified like master groomer for cats. And you actually take an online course. They have a training, and then you actually meet with someone or go to someone who is another master groomer to do like your final in-person work before you get certified. So they have a really awesome program. And if you are already a cat groomer, you can become a member and be listed in their directory for people to find cat groomers. So I would highly recommend them. They seem to be training people worldwide, and I like what they're doing, where they're going with their cat grooming, kind of their mindset. Okay, the last one is a little harder to get into, but it's still really good. It's a cat boarding business. This one's tough because you only have 2 ways really of doing this. You can either get permission to do it in your home somehow. Like if you had let's say you had an in-law apartment that you're not using and you wanted to get a town approval special permit to do boarding, have a business in your home. You could have kitty condos, and basically the cats would come and they would stay with you at your property. This is great because in the wintertime, this is like the best business to have in the winter, because you can just be home. You can go down in your pajamas and you can check all the cats and you can get them fed. They're going to sleep all day. And then they wake up in the evening or the late afternoon and they get busy. They want to play and things like that. And I had a cat boarding business where I had a playroom, and I just had a wonderful experience with that. And I didn't have to be on the road, and I was able to take on special needs cats and really watch them and give them that detailed care and kind of like really watch them all the time. Whereas if you're cat sitting, you go in and do a visit maybe for 45 minutes to an hour, but then you're leaving and, you have to come back in and assess the cat after you come back. Cat boarding is really awesome. It is tough to do in different towns. Different towns have different zoning laws. And so there's ways to find out about if your town would allow it or not allow it. And the only other way you could do it is if you rented a location, and some people have done this, rent a business location and you do boarding there, but you're not living there. So I personally would be super stressed out by that, because I would be like, if I wasn't there, I would just feel like wouldn't be able to, I'd feel so responsible if something happened and I wasn't there, But cat boarding is really great, and people sometimes need this service because there are cats that get very, very lonely, and they can't be alone. Like to be totally alone in a house for certain types of cat personalities is too much for them, and they end up getting sometimes worked up and they can't relax. So the other reason why people do boarding is because when they're gone for a longer period of time, that connection is doing cat sitting really after about 7 to 14 days. Anything over that, they're really starting to be like, where's like my mother? People think that the cats don't need people, but it's totally not true. And so, long-term, people who have gone for longer than like a week or so, cat boarding is great. If you have other people living at your house and you can't leave your cat alone and you don't want to have someone come in while there's other people there, then it's better to board them if possible. And that is something that's just a really great business. And we need more of those businesses. And there are towns, and where I'm located in Kingston, Massachusetts, there are towns that around here that do allow it. I would love to see about finding some people who might be interested in starting that in their own home, where they could have a small in-home business. And if you are hearing this and you're like, this would be amazing, please reach out to me, because I would like nothing more than to find other people in the area that could do boarding. I mean, that would just be like good quality boarding, not just like you have a doggy daycare and you're going to add a cat condo in the corner so that you can scare the bejesus out of a cat. I'm talking like you're really going to think about this from like a comfort and care perspective. And it's something that you thinking you have a passion for. If you do, if you are hearing this and you're like, I want to find out about this, please reach out to me at purview.com. And you don't have to be from my area either. If you're hearing this and you're from some other area, definitely send me an email, and I would love to talk to you. I would love to coach you. Okay, so what makes these businesses, if you're like, cat sitting, maybe grooming, boarding, I don't know. What makes these businesses more successful than another one in your area? And it is the purview. It's the purview perspective. It's what will give you the edge above other businesses. And it really helps you connect with true cat parents. It helps you learn what the true cat parents' needs are, and that they really are the ones that your targeted audience. So they're looking for something special. They're not looking for gig workers. They're looking to make a relationship with someone they can trust. And they really want their cats to be well cared for. They want that higher quality of service, and they definitely are willing to pay for it. So if you're interested in a career, because you're a cat lover and you want a career with cats and you have never thought about it before, I hope that you'll keep listening to this podcast, because I'm going to be releasing different topics that are related to each of these types of businesses, and topics that are related to the cat industry in general. So if you're looking for more information, you think you might like to just jump on this right away, or you have questions, you can go to purview.com and get plugged into our community. And I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions or topics for an upcoming podcast, you can leave your name, and you can text me and that sort of thing. I would really love to hear from you. And I hope you all have a perfect day.